Halloween.
Forever.
Steve.
Hello, Brian.
Hey, got one for you. Got some British jokes for you here. Ready? Why is chess so difficult for British people?
Why is chess so difficult for British people? I don't know.
Just playing the game of chess. Why is it so hard?
I don't know.
They lost one of the queens. Don't got all
That'll
the
teach
pieces.
him. That'll teach him.
Welcome, boils and ghouls, to a undoubtedly fucking stupid Showdown episode of Halloween is Forever. I'm Brian.
I'm Steve.
Here we are. Guys, it's August. Holy dog shit. It is pretty much spooky season, if you ask me. I'm already starting to drink on the Oktoberfest beers. I have not fully delved in to spooky season yet, but I'm getting ready to. I did purchase some Halloween decorations already, some new ones for this year that I do not need. And I'm about 2 weeks, ahead of jumping right into this son of a bitch. Steven, are you starting to feel a little spooky vibes, perhaps?
I am a little bit. I'm like I haven't fully jumped 2 feet in, but I did see that there is supposedly a new pack of Tootsie Rolls out this year that are like flavored by a bunch of other fall flavors. And so I've been on the lookout for that, but I haven't seen it yet. I ain't seen it.
I ain't seen it in the store, but I did see that, and my eyes have been peeled as well. Same thing for the monster cereals. They're going to do another Muppet thing this year, which I'm down for. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on the internet of some real good spooky snacks and things like that I'm keeping an eye out for. Haven't saw a ton out there yet, but this is, of course, the very first week in August, so it's all going to start hitting the shelves this week. That doesn't affect our August showdown, but that tells us that the old Wheel-o-Ween is just around the corner. We got a couple months ahead of that. We are doing, for the month of August, our showdown topic, which Yin's helped us pick over on the social medias. You voted for Best of Christopher Lee. So our old pal, Christopher Lee. And that obviously explains the extremely British jokes at the top of the show. We're going to talk about 3 Christopher Lee flicks here today. But, of course, we got some other shit we got to do at the top of the show. First of all, Steven already mentioned beers. Are you slurping on something? And how wet do that thing be?
It'd be ultra wet, and I do be slurping on it because I am running with some gas of sorts, but it's still tropical gas. This is all it's fallen into all kinds of different categories, but from 6 Point Brewing out of Brooklyn, New York.
Sure.
This is their pineapple resin double IPA, which comes in at a 9.1%.
That's a big sumbitch. Is that hazy thing, or is that just kind of a West Coast double?
I mean, it's not completely clear like I forgot that my camera wasn't on today. But I was holding it up to show.
You're holding it up to no one.
I was holding it up to show to nobody. It's kind of clear, but simply from the nature of it being like 9.1%, it's darker. So I can see all the way through. I can see my hand. But it is really, really that deep orange that you get from a double IPA.
Sure. I haven't had anything from them in a long time, but historically, I'm a fan. I like their Pilsner for sure. I think they had what was the other one that was big? Resin.
Yep. Yeah.
They said that resins or IPA, West Coast IPA that I've definitely drank on in the past. They had an English IPA too for a long time. It wasn't, it was an English inspired IPA, but it was one that's it's just a style you don't get that often. But they had that. It was called Bengali or something like that.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
I don't even know if they make that anymore, but that was a lovely beer back in the day. Well, I despite mentioning that I have been slurping on a couple Oktoberfests, I don't have any in the house right now, so I'm making the best of it by approximating one. I got a variety pack of the Warsteiner, which they kind of freshened up their variety pack. They have the Pilsner, they have the Dunkel, but they swapped out that kind of Keller beer they had just for a Helles, which is real nice. But I am mixing. Actually, there is currently all three beers in this glass: Dunkel, Helles, and Pilsner. And so I'm approximating the closest thing to an Oktoberfest that I can make in the house. But I also have, as you can see, I'm going to break my wrist, turn around. So I got the actual brewery appropriate glassware, which is quite a rarity. But oh boy, that thing is wet. And the Dunkel coming through pretty nice. I mean, these big, giant commercial breweries, they do high gravity brewing oftentimes, and they do, blending of different wort streams together. So, famously, some of the really big ones, probably even, Warsteiner is pretty big, but like, Spaten and stuff like that, they talk about how the Oktoberfest is, like a higher ABV, Helles with a little bit of like, coloring agent or some sort of Cara Munich malt or something like that in it. I don't know if that's the case anymore. It might have been once upon a time, but you could probably get a pretty good approximation of what their Oktoberfest is like by blending various proportions of these three beers. So probably not too far off, but it's wet and I'm slurping on it and I'm enjoying it. Steven, why don't you tell the boils and ghouls what's happening over on the Patreon? Because we got a bunch of nasty shit going on over there.
Yes, just a reminder, jump on to patreon.com/HalloweenIsForever. Sign up. You get to choose movies because it's actually our newest patron who signed up, and he added his pick to what could possibly be a best of a Christopher Lee. His newest pick. It got choosed, idiot.
It got choosed.
His newest pick got added to the wheel that decides the winner for the patrons. So it behooves you to sign up for that. But on top of all that, you get to jump on the Discord, interact live with episodes, and you get exclusive monthly podcast. And right now in August, we're winding down our current series, and it is God Is Not Forever, a roadmap to killing God's dumb ass. And
yes.
Yeah, we're winding that down, but you can jump on the back end. You can hear all the previous episodes, and you can hear every other series that we've done up to this point.
Which this is our fourth Patreon podcast series.
Yes.
Patreon exclusive series.
Yes.
Yeah. This is how it started. Steve made me watch all the Fast and the Furious movies. Pissed me off. You don't have to watch them. I'd encourage you don't. But Steve made me watch all of them, and then we talked about how bad they sucked. Then I made him watch a bunch of weird right-wing Christian propaganda horror movies. That was fucked up. And then Steve made me watch a bunch of horrifically dumb 90s comedies that had like horror ties to them. You'd see like a Robert Englund pop up or some bullshit. And then now I'm making him watch a bunch of movies where we are trying to learn from these movies about how we can successfully satisfy my New Year's resolution, which is, again, this year to kill God. So that's where we're at. And then I think we got two or three episodes left of that series. Yeah,
we have our August episode, and then it'll actually end this October, and then November will begin something new.
Yeah. And then Steve will pick what the new one is. So it's a lot of fun, and you get the backlog to, I don't know, a couple hundred extra hours of content on there. All of this for just $5 little dollary dues a month, which, is it's almost nothing, right? Get your head out of your ass. Okay. Anything else before we jump into this showdown?
No, we can go as we please now.
Okay, so here are the movies, and Steve mentioned our one of our new patrons. Do we have a name, Steven, that we should mention?
I believe it's actually a friend of yours, Jim Chaney. You know that cat?
Oh, Jim. I know Jim. Jim's a brewer friend. Yeah. Jim's awesome. I love that. Yes, Jim is an exceptional brewer, and I've known Jim for a long time. I didn't know he's a patron. Thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Jim's a horror fan as well, which I do know. And Jim's pick, which usually some of the Patreon community will suggest movies associated with that topic, and then we'll put them on the wheel, and then somebody's movie will get picked, or sometimes the vote. Sometimes like multiple patrons will pick the same movie, and then that makes it easy. But Jim picked Curse of Frankenstein from 1957, Hammer horror flick, which many of us are familiar with. And then, Steve, what'd you end up picking?
Then I chose Horror Express from 1972.
Yep. First time watch for me, by the way. Never saw it before. Thought I did because I heard the title and I'm like, boy, that sounds real familiar. Nope, first time watch for me. So this was kind of fun. Did not know where it was going, and I started watching it going, oh yeah, wait, and I'm waiting for something familiar, and then shit just kind of went a little sideways. I'm like, no, I never saw this shit before. So it's kind of a fun watch. I'm excited to talk about that one. It's a fucking weird movie. Weird in ways you don't expect. You know? And then I picked a movie which I've been teasing talking about for a long time because it is one of my favorites. And certainly one of my favorites, and a lot of people's favorites among the folk horror subgenre. I'm going to be talking about 1973, just 1 year later. I'm going to be talking about The Wicker Man. Obviously the original one from 73, not the bees oriented one with the great Nicolas Cage. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Stephen. The Patreon, our guest won last time around. Yeah, because it was Halloween.
Yes. Guest won last time. Literally that would go to the next guest, but we're doing patrons this month, so I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
Well, I think you won between you and I think you won more recently. So I think it probably stands to reason that you picked the order.
Yeah, I also think I won Ian's vote as well. So last month.
True.
So yeah. I think, I don't know. Why don't we go Wicker Man first, then I'll go second, and then we'll end with the Curse of Frankensteins.
Yep. All right. That'll help to break up my talking so you don't have to hear me talk nonstop for consecutive weeks. All right. Let me bring up my notes then for The Wicker Man, 1973. This is directed by Robin Hardy. Another British production that, like I said, this week is just painfully British. I am not familiar with anything else from this director. He doesn't have a ton of directorial credits. The Wicker Man is by far his most well-known flick. He did do a sequel of sorts called The Wicker Tree just as recently as 2011, believe it or not. So 1973, and then the sequel, 2011. It is currently sitting on Letterboxd at a balmy 1.9. And it is it's out there on the Tubies. So I have not watched it. Apparently Christopher Lee does show up in some capacity. I have not seen it. But it has just absolutely horrible reviews. I'm still going to watch it because I didn't realize it exists till just today.
It's probably by design of some sort.
I don't think anybody wants it to exist. I think they wished it wouldn't exist. There's a couple other feature film. Actually, there's only one other feature film, and then there's some shorts. So again, not a particularly broad scope of films to select here in terms of feature films. He also shows up as an actor in The Wicker Man and in all of his films, as far as I can see. I'm going to see who he shows up as, because I did not notice that till just now. Let's see. He shows up as uncredited as the minister. So I don't know who is technically the minister in this movie. I would imagine it's the minister early on with when Officer Neil is in church. That's probably where he shows up.
Yeah, when Howie's having his flashback to communion.
Yep. He's probably in that scene. So very, very small. I was like, ooh, that'd be cool if it was like, the innkeeper, or something, because I don't know what the fuck Robin Hardy looks like, but no such luck. Anyway, this movie stars, aside from, so the protagonist, I actually hesitate to call him the protagonist because I'm rooting against him the whole goddamn time. Sergeant Neil Howie. Which is such a fucking dork ass name. First of all, fuck you, Neil Howie. Yeah. It's portrayed by Edward Woodward, who is a prominent British actor. He's in a ton of stuff. He is in my favorite version of A Christmas Carol, which is the 1984 Clive Donner one with George C. Scott. And like David Warner as Bob Cratchit, and like that whole cast is fucking phenomenal. He plays the ghost of Christmas Present in that one, so he's jolly as hell. He's in Hot Fuzz. He's fantastic. He's a great actor. He's a real unlikable character, at least for me in this movie. I think for most people, I don't know, outside of the scope of 1970s Britain, is probably like, this guy fucking sucks. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that. And then we've got the man of the hour, the great Christopher Lee, as Lord Summerisle. He is kind of the main antagonist. We'll talk about kind of this weird ass character. We have Britt Eklund, who is in a ton of great exploitation films and just so many favorites from the 70s. She was also, I don't know if she was a playmate, but she was definitely, she was a Bond girl, for sure. And she was a bombshell, I don't think is inaccurate to say.
Do you think she was 70s. A page 6 girl, do you?
Yeah, isn't it? I remember her certainly as a Bond girl, Man with the Golden Gun. What was the other one she was in? I thought there was one other one. Maybe it was just Man with the Golden Gun. But I remember her from Get Carter. She also shows up in a movie I think we've talked about before, which is a favorite of mine, but it is just unabashedly terrible. But it has Vincent Price, John Carradine, and Donald Pleasance in it, so I love it, which is the weird ass anthology movie The Monster Club. She's in a bunch of stuff. She's fantastic. Who else worth? Diana Salento. Recognize her face. She's in a lot of stuff. She's in some Paul Newman flicks. Again, primarily we're talking about stuff in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. See if there's anybody else worth calling out. Certainly some other, British character actors.
Yeah. It's a lot of British character actors from the 70s. So like, it's hard to make a real draw connection to like anything that's popular today, because it's unlikely that.
Well, and it's a bit. Yeah, we're talking 50 some years ago. Yeah. And also it's a big cast, it's a town, right? So you see a lot of people just show up and you see them in the background at the pub or whatever, that sort of thing. So, so this movie is based on the 1967 novel called Ritual by David Pinner. I have not read the novel, I'll admit, and not unlike our director, I don't think David Pinner has written a ton of other things of consequence. And probably it seems like when you look up even the book, The Ritual, and him, really his first credit is his novel got turned into The Wicker Man. I think that's kind of his claim to fame. This movie, like I said, is a poster child for folk horror. I think if, people who are well-watched horror or genre film fans, if you said folk horror, probably one of the first things that you're going to mention is The Wicker Man. And for good reason. We'll talk about some of the themes and things as we press on. But we've got old P. O'Neill Howdy. He's a sergeant, actually. Sergeant Howie. He is a cop from the mainland, Britain, and he's a real stick in the mud. I think is the only way you can describe this guy. He is like a ultra conservative, what I would go as far as to say fucking religious zealot, but he is like, feels like a type of character who has lived a very straight and narrow life. He's a rule follower. He is a stickler for details. He's very prim and proper. He's very professional. He takes his job very, very seriously. And he doesn't have a lot of, I would say, worldly experience, right? He has kind of lived his life and stayed in his lane, and he prides himself on being good and thorough at his job, but he doesn't have a lot of life experiences, a lot of exposure to other cultures and things like that. He's one of those people where if you learned about him that he's never, been outside of a 40-mile radius of the town he grew up in, you wouldn't be surprised to learn that, right?
But he does know how to fly a seaplane, which is wild.
He does. Yeah, so that was the only thing I was going to say is they never say it, but that suggests to me maybe he had some military experience.
Probably, yeah.
Which is where, most folks in this time frame who knew how to fly an airplane probably would have gotten it. But yes, he does know how to fly a seaplane. And that's where we get introduced to him, because he comes to this remote island called Summerisle to investigate a missing child. He's got an anonymous letter from someone, assumedly in this community, that there is a young girl of 12 years old who has gone missing. Her name's Rowan Morrison. And he has flown out here unannounced in his little seaplane, landed, and he is trying to dock his plane on the dock in Summerisle. As he approaches, he is immediately comes in contact with some of the, what you would probably call kind of the village elders, maybe the older gentlemen of the community. And they basically say like, hey, you don't have any permission to dock here. So get fucked. But they're doing it in a very kind of glad hand, smiley, almost like contrarian, but in a very friendly way. So they're just kind of like you take it as perhaps they live in this pretty isolated community on this island. Not a lot of people come and go, and they are, for that reason, a little bit suspicious of outsiders. So they're very cautious in that way. But they are all very, how do I put it, at least in this scene, they're very in on it together.
Yeah.
They know how they respond to outsiders, and they all follow the script. They all smile and they all agree with each other, and like mum's the word, right?
Yeah. Like, obviously, what is this? Probably like the third or fourth watch that you've had of this film, at least.
At least. I might have seen it 5 or 6 times.
Yeah. So like on first watch, they just come across as like really congenial and, oblivious old men, because how he shows up with this photo, and he shows it to all these old guys, and they're all just kind of looking around like, nope, never heard of her. Nope, she don't live here. Mm-hmm. Oh, maybe she lives on one of the other islands. Go check out those other islands. So it just yeah. Like you don't have a sense of conspiracy
right
at first when he first shows up.
Right.
Obviously, though, on second and third watch, you can kind of see what the conspiracy is that they're all in on it to just pass this photo around and deny that she ever existed.
Yep. And you've hit on one of the points I want to delve into a little bit later too, is like this movie is so rewatchable because, I mean, especially watching it like the second time around, you're looking at it through a completely different set of eyes, right? Which is not that uncommon, but I've learned, again, I've probably watched this movie 5 or 6 times, and you notice new things about the mannerisms and the way of communicating, especially the kids, every time you watch it, and it makes it more effective every time. So this is actually a rare occurrence of a movie where the surprise, obviously, or the twist or whatever, after you watch it the first time, of course, but I think it gets better as it goes because you see more about the dealings of and how they deal with outsiders. You know, you kind of are able to pay attention a little closer to like specific mannerisms and ways of speaking and stuff like that. So, but yeah, they all deny. He shows them a picture of Rowan, and they all deny that he says, well, do you know her mother, Mary so-and-so, Mary Morrison? Well, yeah, we know Mary Morrison, but that's not her daughter. And they even say like, well, can we go see Mary? Yeah, sure. So they're just kind of smiley and congenial, like you said, and kind of aloof in a odd way. So they go, go talk to Mary. He's confused, obviously. But he's a cop. Like he's not really thrown off the scent. She owns a candy shop. She's like, yeah, I'm Mary Morrison. Well, that's not my daughter. Well, who's your daughter? Well, my daughter's so-and-so. Well, come back and see her. And the daughter's back, in the back room, sitting there drawing and stuff like that, and gets introduced to it. And the daughter's kind of corroborating the story in a closed-lipped kind of way.
Yeah. Just to be clear, it is Mae Morrison, not Mary.
Oh, sorry, Mae.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think my phone auto-corrected to Mary.
Yeah. It's Mae Morrison is the mom, and Myrtle Morrison is this younger daughter. So she's
which is not Rowan.
Yeah.
Different age, looks totally different.
Yeah, so she's copping to this younger daughter who's like, here, this is my younger daughter. She's painting fucking rabbits in the back room. Check her out.
Right. Yeah. So he goes to check into the local inn, which it does seem like for outsiders there's really only one place to stay, which is the local inn, which is also, of course, the pub, local pub where everybody hangs out. He meets the creepy innkeeper and the innkeeper's daughter, Willow, who is played by Britt Eklund, who does not look like anyone else in this town. First of all, she really sticks out like a sore thumb. Everyone in this town kind of has the vibe of being, I mean, I don't throw this word around lightly, but moderately inbred. I don't know. That's harsh. I think it's just the way that they film people. They're always making like weird frog faces and stuff. But no, they're just all kind of like very
British,
for the most part, kind of plain, painfully British. And then you see Britt Eklund, who looks like a fucking, supermodel.
Because she literally is a supermodel from Sweden. That's why she doesn't look like any of these. I don't know how good people are in our audience with, what last names mean, but like Eklund is very clearly a Swedish Nordic name. And then everybody else, in this movie is named like Kemp and, Carr and Sunters. Like these are.
She has totally different bone structure and is 6 inches taller than everyone in the town. I don't know that she's that tall, but anyway, she sticks out like a sore thumb. So so they check into the hotel or to the inn, and right off the bat, the relationship between Willow and the innkeeper, everything's a little dodgy, a little odd. And he has dinner. First of all, we get this rousing like local folk tune that the entire pub is singing in unison together about how hot and promiscuous Willow is, basically.
It's a bar full of like, this is the type of shit that like it wouldn't fly today simply because of like the way it comes off, but it is a bar full of men who are 40 and older, yelling at the barkeep about how they're going to fuck his daughter.
Well, and how hot she is and how much she likes to fuck and all that stuff. And by the way, Willow is there the whole time, is like, hell yeah. Like she is in on it. She is buying into it. She's performing her part.
She's throwing it back on some of the guys. Like and that's the other thing is like she's completely alone in this room of men that are just like, oh, she looks all so
good. 65-year-old dude.
She looks so good. We can't wait to fuck her. Fuck the innkeeper's daughter. It's like, Jesus,
Yeah,
dude.
and she's like, hell yeah. She's like swinging her hair around. Yeah, it's wild. It's a wild scene. And of course, this very conservative, very prim and proper Sergeant Howie is like very taken aback by this whole thing and just kind of grossed out by it. As you know, this is the one time where I'm like, all right, I'm kind of on your side here, Sergeant Howie. This is a little much. But he's very taken aback by the whole thing. He's very short with everybody. First, because that's just his personality. He's a dickhead, but also he's really thrown for a loop by all these people. Like you can imagine, you know, by today's standards, this would have been pretty risque and strange behavior. By 1974, Sergeant Howie behavior, he is just thrown for a loop. He's like, all right, give me some, give me my dinner and leave me the fuck alone. So they deliver him, you know, they got some beer, and then he's got his dinner, which he expected because this Summerisle is known for exporting some of the best produce in the country, right? So that's what they're known for. They're famous for producing and exporting amazing produce. He gets dinner, and dinner is like, you know, whatever, a hunk of some roast beast, and then like canned potatoes and canned lima beans and canned, I think he said like peaches or some sort of fruit. So just like all of this canned produce, and he's like, what the fuck? Like, this is, you know, why am I getting this canned bullshit when you guys are known for all this great produce? And, you know, I think the innkeeper says something like, well, we export all of it, which is, of course, like a weird dodge. But
yeah, this would be like, here's a hyper local reference for nobody. This would be like if you went to the Franklin Apple Fest and they gave you a bunch of Del Monte products.
Yeah, sure. Yes. So for all of you out there, you know exactly what Steve's talking about. Yes, it was very like, he's very taken aback by the whole thing. Like, nothing is adding up, right? After dinner, he decides, you know, he's going to go for a little stroll, or I think he goes to his room and then he can't sleep and he goes for a stroll. And during his night stroll, he stumbles upon a bunch of people banging in a graveyard, which is odd to say the least. You see a woman that appears to be having relations with a gravestone. There's just a bunch of people out in the dewy grass, just banging in the grass in the graveyard.
Now, I believe, if I'm not incorrect about this, but I believe this is something of a common practice over in Britain, and they call this dogging, in which they go bang in public car parks. But I think this is a twist on dogging.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, this could be one of those cultural things, right? So I'm not going to pass judgment. Could be just one of those cultural things, but I do get the vibe. This is pretty abnormal. So yeah, all these people banging in the graveyard. He's like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, it's very almost dream-like, this section, right? Then Christopher Lee, which we don't know who he is at this point, shows up outside Willow's window with a teenage boy, basically, you know, is basically a virgin that I think they're sending up for her to deflower. This is kind of how I took it. And he's kind of watching all this out his window, because of course Willow is in the same, you know, she lives at the inn with her father, and their room actually shares a wall, so she's right there, which comes into play later. He's taken aback by all this. Like I said, just kind of feels like a fever dream to him. The next day, the whole town seems to be preparing for a big celebration. You know, I think for an outsider, it would definitely resemble like a May Day celebration. They've got a maypole. They've got a lot of, you know, flowers and ornate, brightly colored, you know, outfits and decorations and flags and all these sorts of things. Basically, in his mind, they're doing a bunch of pagan shit, right? And all the songs that they're singing are all very focused on basically fertility and boning down. That's pretty much what we hear the whole time.
Facts.
So he's thrown off by all this stuff. He goes to the school and first of all is like creeping outside the window. And all the teacher and all these students, this would have been Rowan's class. So let's say these kids are all between the ages of, I don't know, like 8 and 12 or something like that. And they're talking about, fertility and symbols of the festival, penises and all this sorts of stuff, and all this May Day imagery, and they're talking specifically about their specific belief system, which we learn pretty quickly here is they have this odd kind of standalone little folk religion, right, that they all follow. Of course, Sergeant Howie's very outraged by all this talk and teaching the kids. And not only that, but he's pissed they're not learning about Jesus as well. So he's outraged in the most annoying way. But he jumps in and is like, what the fuck is going on here? And he's very judgy in the whole thing, which, again, the whole thing is strange, but he comes at it the most fucking obnoxious way possible. He addresses the class. The class asks about Rowan. They all they just are tight-lipped, and they just basically deny any knowledge of her initially. And then there's one open desk, and he's like, is this Rowan's desk? And again, none of the kids will answer. They're just kind of giggling and being creepy. He opens up the desk to see if there's anything in there, and you see this little beetle that has been, basically tied to a string around a nail and is just like marching around in circle, kind of getting, pulled closer and closer to the nail. So as you might imagine, this is especially something upon a second watch that you understand the very clear symbolism of this beetle being, kind of winding itself closer and closer to the nail.
I love his reaction too, of just like, like, why would you do this? And it's just like this ugly faced kid just kind of looking at him like, it's what you do.
Yeah, they all just are kind of grinning and just staring at him wide-eyed. There's this overwhelming feeling that he is being toyed with, right? Even upon first view, you're like, these people know something he doesn't. They're fucking with him. They're sending him on a wild goose chase. All of the town's residents are in on it. There is definitely some sort of conspiracy happening, but it's weird because they're all like oddly transparent. Like they're never like, you can't be here, get out of here. It's never like weird Scientology shit where they like, get out of here. We're very private. They're very open. They just let him come and go and walk in and out of wherever he wants to be. And they answer his questions to what seems like the best of their ability. They're weirdly transparent. But they're very flippant about everything too. Mm-hmm. Like they're very lighthearted. Nothing seems to bother them. Nothing seems to get under their skin. Like basically like they don't take him seriously.
Yeah.
Which is very jarring for this very serious man who is used to being feared, right? They're just treating him like he's a nosy little kid, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, this is a first watch, second watch type thing, but it's like on first watch, it's kind of like, well, they're probably this flippant because they know he's not going to discover anything. Like they know where, they know what everybody's in on it. And because at this point you assume the whole town is on a conspiracy.
Right.
So it's like, they know where the clues are. So they know where he can and can't go. And he just hasn't gone to a place that he would find a clue. Second watch is the realization that, this is all part of the game. Like
this is very choreographed.
Yeah, it's not just that he's not going to find the clues. It's that they're directing him. Like he is being pushed.
Yep. Yeah, he is the beetle, right? So the teacher explains, eventually when he starts asking very pointed questions about Rowan, that, their view of death is very different than his, and she's just moved on to a different plane of existence, and that's why they don't talk about her in the way that he is expecting them to. But she does confirm that Rowan is dead. And but why hasn't somebody told me? Well, that's not how we talk about it. Basically like explaining that like it's a cultural difference, and it's not that people are lying to you, or it's not that people are trying to mislead you, but it's a cultural difference in the way we deal with death and talk about death. He's not buying it, right? They send him to the graveyard, and basically the guy suggests that like she's fertilizer already, like this weird guy in the graveyard. So, he's meant to believe she is dead. She's dead and buried. By the way, in the graveyard, it's not a normal graveyard. It's almost like an ancient, what looks like the ruins of an old mausoleum or something like that, or even an old fort of some sort.
Yeah.
Because it has like some walls, but it's not like enclosed. It's all like ruins almost. Very ancient looking. There's also like a woman just sitting in there breastfeeding, holding her hand out with an egg in her hand, like doing all these very symbolic things. Like these people seem to be playing parts in this like play that he doesn't know he's in.
Yeah.
There's like strips of meat hanging from a little tree. There's a woman. I mean, this is not happening in the graveyard, but they see like a woman putting a live frog in a child's mouth. Later on, he goes to, I forget, boy, I'm trying to remember. It's where he wants to find the death certificate, but I guess it's like just some sort of official building, but I think it's also like the main like kind of medical building where like the doctor would be kind of thing. Again, this is such a small town that's just like everybody kind of plays multiple roles, but there is a jar of foreskins.
Yeah.
Dried up foreskins. Like there's a lot of wild shit.
Like they call Mae Morrison's house the post office, but it's also like a bakery, and she also lives there. So it's like, yeah. There's a lot of buildings that have a lot of cross-functional buildings here. Everyone's trying to throw him off the scent at this point. So now he knows he's being misled intentionally. So again, really well paced, where like this movie is a slow burn, but it never feels slow. It's very well paced. He's the story, and you never feel like you're too far ahead of Sergeant Howie. And so you're it's unraveling it at a very deliberate pace. We get these like, naked Mayday dances and just all kind of like sweet pagan shit, like as the festival kind of ramps up, and it really does a good job of demonstrating the kind of intensity in which the ferocity in which the celebration is gaining momentum. You know what I mean? He finally goes to see and actually introduce himself to Lord Summerisle, which is Christopher Lee's character. He lives in this crazy ass mansion. He kind of reminds you of this slightly, even though this is like supposedly an ancient religion and these people have lived here for generations after generation. He has a bit of a new age vibe to him, despite the fact that he's like living in this mansion with all these like, all this historic artifacts and bits of antiquity, and he's wearing like ceremonial garb in the form of like a really fancy kilt and shit like that. But he looks out the window, and there's just a bunch of people like dancing nude around a replication of Stonehenge outside in the courtyard. Yeah.
Which is like the most stereotypical pagan thing you could do in Britain is like, we built a little Stonehenge, now we're going to dance naked around it in a bonfire.
We're going to jump over the fire nude.
Yeah, he's very matter of fact. Like he even says something like, my God, they're nude, because he's this prissy, kind of weirdo. And he's like, well, of course it would be very dangerous to jump over the bonfire with your clothes on.
Yeah.
So he's very matter of fact about the whole thing.
Yeah. The application of logic to their dumb little, fairy tale stuff is like, it's kind of funny, and it is a good way to kind of throw Howie off. But yeah, this is where I'll reveal I don't much care for this movie, actually.
How dare you?
I find both sides annoying, and to quote Norm Macdonald, I hope everybody dies.
Yeah, I mean, there's no good guys,
no.
right? I agree. There's no good guys, but you could view it through a couple of lenses. You could view it through the lens of Sergeant Howie being introduced into this weird thing, and and he's being toyed with and all that stuff, and he's have all these evil pagan forces. Or you can see like this shithead outsider coming in and trying to impose his will on this, this native culture that wants to have nothing to do with what he represents. And he comes in, you could think of him as the colonizer very easily.
It's more for me. Like I do really like the film. Like after the twist is revealed, like the way it becomes more menacing, and the way Howie like devolves and everything, and the way he almost sort of gets it, but he doesn't. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of good things in the end that we'll talk about when we get there. But like all the music is so fucking annoying.
It's hyper specific. Yeah. Yes. It's very 70s folky. Like it feels a little bit like something Simon and Garfunkel would have been inspired by. You know what I mean?
Like, it's shittier than that. It is just, it's annoying. I find everybody to be like just levels of dorcas that I would never associate with. Just both sides. Like all these Mayday dork ass Scots are annoying, and obviously Howie's fucking annoying, like ACAB Howie, but also even if Howie wasn't in uniform, he would be insufferable. Like just both sides I find just interminable, and
it's interesting that they definitely try to not pigeonhole because I think most British people are understanding of British culture and British stereotypes would probably assume this maritime agricultural island essentially that's isolated, not the island part, but the fact that it's isolated. Mm-hmm. You would expect people are kind of talking about like the Welsh, I think, especially because there's so many like old folk traditions that are stereotypically still kept alive, whether they are or not. Like when you think about these weird stereotypical folk traditions and things, I think a lot of people would probably think about the Welsh. But they also make Lord Summerisle wear a kilt and things. Like I think they're trying to throw you off the scent a little bit. They're like, hey, we're not talking about the Welsh here.
I think it's just, I think that's a byproduct of it being like kind of 1970s Britain. And again, because I haven't read the book Ritual, and this is a 50-year-old movie, I don't know the exact attitudes behind the director. I think the director is very aware of like the both sides issue of it, and that Howie's belief in Christ is just as silly as the paganism. I think they don't paint him as he's a protagonist, but they don't paint him as a white knight or anything. But from the perspective of Howie, who is very representative of this conservative movement within Britain, where they are like they're pushing into Scotland and trying to assimilate Scotland as to the whole of Britain, and they're also occupying Ireland, and Christianity is relatively new, like not new, but it's relatively new. Everybody was a mud hut fucker for a long time until the Romans came in and started, the Romans and the Germans all forced Christianity upon, the British Isles. So the British Anglo thing is not too terribly old. Yeah. So they had it introduced to them from somebody else. But you think about like there are these outcroppings of like maybe Scots and Welsh and Irish who all hold on to their old beliefs. We talk about the Irish a lot because we watch a lot of their movies because they make good movies. I don't know. We talked about Oddity. I just watched Hokum not too long ago. So like there's a lot of, they have a lot of fun stuff with the Fae that they do. That stuff permeates into British culture. And like this is the struggle, I think, that was being identified in the 60s and 70s, being the framing of like a new birth of, the sexual revolution and things like that being framed within paganism, being pushed up against the conservatism that was combating all of that. And the conservatism was also representative of, like imperial empire and things like that.
Very much so. Yeah, him coming from the outside. Like he is like I said, like you mentioned, the director is very aware that he is the representative of the colonizer here to save everyone's souls, Also, I would be remiss not to mention that with the presence of the Stonehenge out in the courtyard, I do maintain that this is the same cinematic universe as Halloween 3. And that I do like to assume, I think it's fair to assume that Conal Cochran and Lord Summerisle are definitely allies in some capacity.
They're pen pals.
Yeah, they help each other out. They are the leaders of weird pagan folk religions. One being, of course, a full blown warlock, technological warlock, and the other being a weird pagan. I don't know what do they call them? Where you are a farmer, but you're like extremely wealthy. I can't remember the term right now, but you have basically the equivalent of a plantation, right?
A landowner
off on some remote island.
Lord. I mean, he's a lord technically because he just owns the island, and
he's not pushing the plow, right? But yeah, gentlemen, what do they call it? Gentlemen,
landed gentry.
Anyway. Yeah, I assume they're friends. I assume they're pals. Yeah. They show up and they're part of the same clubs.
Dear Summerisle from America, let me tell you about it. I've built a factory.
Can you ship me more small pieces of actually, one of my favorite things, this is way off topic and then I'll shut up. But one of my favorite parts of Halloween 3 is whenever when Cochran's revealing his plan to Tom Atkins, and he is like, he says about how when they stole a part of Stonehenge, and he makes some comment. He says like, boy, you would never believe the way we got this here.
It's in a crate of apples.
It's like one of the yeah, he just says it in a way of like, listen, you'll believe we put chips with part of Stonehenge in it that is triggered by an audio cue that is going to melt all these children's heads into snakes and bugs, but you'll never believe how we actually got it. Like that's unbelievable. But I do like to believe that however he got it from Britain, Lord Summerisle helped him in some capacity.
Came over in an apple export.
Yeah,
we didn't know about it, but like we have all these Fujis and Pink Ladies and stuff. But back in the 70s, you only had Macintoshes and Summerisles.
That's it. Those are the only two kinds. Yeah, man, I would love to do some just dig into some fan fiction of like them. I'm just imagining Colonel Cochran as like Cobra Commander and Lord Summerisle is like Destro or something. I don't know. All right, so Neil starts spitting his like repressed Anglo Jesus shit at Lord Summerisle, who is way too groovy for all that. And he's like, what of the one true God? Which is like the most just like he doesn't believe in the God that you believe in, and that's so unbelievable to you. You know what I mean? Which is just like the most naive, stupid thing to say. I'm not saying that Lord Summerisle's religion is any more believable, but for him to go like, yes, but what of the one true God? and Lord Summerisle, Christopher Lee, just goes, he's dead, in the most dismissive tone. Yeah. He's just like, he's dead. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what it says about me. I do know what it says about me, but that I am 100% on the native side here and am actively rooting against Sergeant Howie. Like, I'm waiting for terrible things to happen to him.
I think it says that you are for underdogs, because even though they far outnumber Howie in the film, you recognize in the grander scope that, that they are outnumbered, and, they could send in a SWAT team to just shoot up this entire island if they wanted to.
Yeah, just the evangelical nature of Sergeant Howie makes me want to barf.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's all it is.
For me, on the other side, though, I just look at it and I'm just like, you're both dorks and I hate you both.
They're both dorks. But if you got some weirdos over here, they're to his knowledge, they're not hurting anybody. Now, we learn later that they are definitely trying to hurt him specifically. But to his knowledge, they're not hurting anybody. They're just coming over, they're just doing their thing. And he's coming over here to, what of the one true God? Fuck you.
I think a younger me would definitely fall into the trap of tolerating this bunkum for, if Britt Eklund was banging on my wall, being like, hey,
sure,
come get some pussy. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. All right.
All right. Listen, I will. I'll sing some songs with you. I don't, I'll dilute myself a little bit. I don't give a shit.
Now I'm old and I don't care about things like that. So
Britt Eklund doesn't have the power she once had.
You have no power here.
We do get the backstory briefly of Lord Summerisle's ancestors and basically how they turned this barren island into this fertile honeypot of a civilization by his estimation, essentially by praying and doing rituals in service of pagan fertility gods. Sergeant Howie's very turned off by the whole thing and leaves in a huff. He continues to do some snooping. He finds a photo of Rowan displaying what appears to be like a bad harvest, I guess. I don't know. He demands to dig her up, and they find a rabbit in her coffin. So obviously they were lying, but they also knew he was going to do that and placed a dead animal in her coffin almost as a we're on it, we're one step ahead of you kind of thing.
It also calls back to Myrtle. Myrtle said that she turned into a hare. Yes,
he does say that. Myrtle, the other daughter of Mary, mentioned that, and he was like, what? Yeah, and now you can understand, which I think peels back another layer of the creepy conspiratorial onion here, is that the kids are all into this too. They're all unified against you. Howie puts two and two together, and he decides that they are intending to sacrifice Rowan. So that night, he's in bed. He's going to spring his, potentially trap on them tomorrow, or he's going to approach them about this tomorrow. Meanwhile, Willow is doing, a mystical seduction song and dance through the wall, doing she's trying to. I mean, he doesn't see her, but her dancing and singing is so. She's nude, by the way, while she's dancing and singing. So we see that, he doesn't, but it is so sensual that he can just. I don't know. He can just tell through the wall, that she's doing sexy dances and stuff to him. So he is really having a hard time not cranking down or not going over to her room. But, so he's all sweaty and spent in the morning.
I think that's another one of my notes. It's just a note I had was just shut the fuck up in there. I already beat my shit. Just knowing.
Here's the thing.
Just knowing I would have already been like, all right, I'm done. I'm not coming over. Quit it. Go to bed.
No, I mean, that is I don't remember who said this, but I remember hearing it. I don't know if it was on a podcast or an interview or something long ago when I was a young man, that somebody said, listen, a lot of trouble has been saved by just go back to your room and rub one out. It's going to save you a lot. You're going to have a lot smoother life if you just learn to just rub one out, go to sleep.
Yeah.
And that's what he should have done. But again, we didn't really talk about this, but he's engaged to be married. and he does not believe in sex before marriage, so he is a virgin. It is that is well established. He is a virgin. Of course, he's a total fucking virgin dork. And I get the suspicion that he has also never intentionally just cranked one out either, or if he has, it's been very sparingly and with a lot of shame.
Probably
That's kind
cried
of the vibe
about
you
it.
get. Yeah. So he wakes up in the morning. He's just had a rough night of just having a painful boner all night long. And he decides to go back to the mainland, I guess for backup or to get some more evidence or whatever. I don't know. But he paddles out to his plane in his little rowboat, and the plane will not run. So somebody has been fucking with his plane. Meanwhile, all the townspeople, not all, but there are a number of townspeople who are now wearing creepy, folksy, homemade animal masks, of like sheeps and foxes and things like that. And they're all like peeking at him as he's out there struggling with his plane. And I maintain, I can't find any evidence of this, but I can't find any evidence against it, that this is the origin of that trope of wearing creepy animal masks. But these are very homemade, folksy, paper mache looking kind of masks. He starts to go door to door at this point, and all like trying to find Rowan and asking questions, and like, hey, he's gonna crack some skulls now. And all of the residents are just fucking with him. They are not taking him seriously. They are toying with him. At one point he walks in, there's a girl, he opens up a closet, and what appears to be a dead girl falls out face first on the ground and then starts giggling and runs away. Like they're all just fucking with him big time at this point, playing practical jokes and just laughing in his face. He eventually knocks out the innkeeper, because they're all getting dressed for some sort of big celebration. And the innkeeper is wearing a jester costume, which I did read also that it might be like a Punch and Judy thing too. Because they do mention like Punch at some point, but it's like a jester costume, right? A fool's costume. So he goes Solid Snake style, knocks out the innkeeper, takes his clothes, and he is now dressed in this big ornate costume as a jester or as a fool. So you get it. Now he's the fool. It becomes pretty clear. Pretty quick. Yeah, he joins the celebratory, procession led by Lord Summerisle, and they're walking through the streets of the town in wacky, kind of naturalistic, gender bending folk costumes. Basically, they're all singing and dancing and doing pagan shit, right? They know he's there the whole time. He's in this costume, so you couldn't recognize him, but they know it's him. They're still fucking with him. They're all trying to like poke him with spears and sticks and stuff. And like, he doesn't fully know if they know it's him, and they think it's their buddy that they're fucking with. So everything's he's very disoriented at this point. He's confused. He's scared. He's in way over his head. And we also see them make a bunch of offerings. Like they make an offering to the sea, where they like open a barrel of, I don't know, it looks like beer or something, and roll it into the ocean. Yeah, but they're weird pagans, so they're offering shit to the ocean god and the fucking sheep god, whatever the fuck it is, right? They're doing a bunch of rituals, and then they see finally Rowan, alive and well, comes out. They bring her out in her ceremonial garb. And how he's like, damn, okay, they're about to. I gotta make my move. They're gonna sacrifice her. He starts throwing haymakers, grabs Rowan, and she leads him into this cave, this like cave passage to run away from them. They're being chased by all the masked residents, with torches and wearing their weird costumes and shit. They get to the other side of this like cave passage, and there's Lord Summerisle, and Rowan kind of walks over like she was clearly in on it. they're all waiting for him. So she, the reveal is that he was the target all along. They lured him not only to this moment, but the whole way from the mainland with this fake letter. They lured him as, quote, the fool to be sacrificed. So he has been, the beetle walking closer and closer to the nail the entire time. So they grab him up. They scrub him down. He's getting preachy the whole time, by the way, of like, well, God is going to save me. I'm going to, you pagan fucks, blah, blah, blah. They take him, think of Burning Man, right? But just a little more folksy. Also not quite that big. He's like, maybe let's call it 30 feet tall, probably 30 feet tall. Big statue of a man, hollow statue of a man that's made out of sticks. And as you get closer, you see that it's filled with all types of animals, in different like compartments, like pigs and chickens and shit, all in, sheep in the different, like, in the head, in the body, in the arms and legs and stuff like that. And they realize, he quickly realizes they're going to sacrifice him along with all these animals, in the Wicker Man. So yeah, they stick him in there. There's this big buildup. They're singing songs. They're smiling. So it's this big juxtaposition of him terrified, especially as they then light the Wicker Man on fire. So they're about to burn this virgin bitch as he tries to pray the fire away, which is not going to fucking work. So they're singing, they're dancing, they're having a good time. Meanwhile, he's in there screaming and yelling prayers and all this shit, and it's that juxtaposition of like, one, the implication that they've done this before, right? And two, this is awesome to them, but obviously horrifying to him.
Yeah. It's not just that like they're singing songs, but it's just the way that like everybody is smiling. And this is probably the best piece of work by Christopher Lee during this movie, is the way he is just big face grinning and swinging his arms back and forth as he's singing this fucking another god awful fucking folk song. God, what a piece of shit this.
I get the feeling, really, that's the crux of your displeasure in this movie is the music.
Yeah, it really is. A lot of it is. Like I like a lot of the.
It's really obnoxious.
Yeah.
but it's creepy to me because that weird folksy Manson-y type of shit is kind of creepy to me.
I think
it's not Manson-y in the fact that it's psychedelic. It's more folksy, right. But comes from a similar place.
Yeah, I think what it is again, this is a first watch, second watch, and I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. This is at least 3, if not more. But
yeah,
first watch, it comes across as innocuous. Still a little annoying because it's just like you're singing about fucking corn and who gives a shit. And then like, when they first do that first May pole song that is just about like the death and rebirth cycle, and like there's a man on top of a woman, and then a woman gets a seed, and then the seed becomes a boy, and the boy becomes a man, and the man becomes a grave. Like,
yeah.
It's
very on the nose.
Yeah,
yes.
It's very on the nose, but it is kind of hinting at things. But boy, second and third watch, that it just becomes annoying and obnoxious. It's just like, this fucking music sucks. I hate listening to it, and it's permeates the first half of the movie so much, and then even this ending song fucking sucks because it's just like, we sing cuckoo, and it's like, oh god, kill yourselves, you fucking losers. You're probably all into crystals today. I hate you all. You stink.
Well, you know what? If you took somebody who grew up in some sort of like isolated pagan environment, and you took them to your Orthodox mass and heard these hymns that we heard growing up, they would probably think like, who do you think you are? Like, you're a bunch of like fucking monks or like chanting monks or something like that, So it is like, again, it's not music I would willingly, I'm not buying the soundtrack on vinyl here. But yes, I agree. It is annoying music, but I think it plays into the the creepy, I don't know, just these creepy, weird hippie kind of vibes, you know?
Yeah. I also do like the fact that, like, as Howie is burning, he tries to sing one of his own, hymnals back at them.
Yeah.
It's like, my Lord to thee or whatever, bring me grace and shit like that. And it's just like, you're so close to almost getting it that your beliefs are just as fucking stupid as theirs. And you are now just on the other side of it, because how much of Christianity has been singing songs while fucking burning witches and burning people accused of being witches or whatever. That shit doesn't exist. You're a fucking asshole. They're fucking assholes. You're just mad because you're now on the other side of it. And so,
this could have been the Crusades, and you would have been the exact opposite on the other side of just soldiers coming up to you and saying, do you believe what we believe? No? Well, fuck you. Stab you in the chest.
Yeah. So it's like, I appreciate all that. It's just like, I just find the movie annoying personally.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough. On that, I will say it is beautifully shot. I don't think you could argue with that.
No.
I love how stuff's framed up. I love the interior shots. I love the big, long shots, obviously, of like the really most recognizable ones of the Wicker Man up on that seaside cliff. But also like when they're in the town and when they're like, I would love to know where they shot. I'm sure I could easily look it up, but I haven't before, where they shot this, because it is just, it's beautifully shot. It has this very like small maritime village vibe, just nails it. Like you could imagine very quickly, something very Lovecraftian happening in this village. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's well acted. I as much as you hate, Sergeant Howie, it's because he does the performance is fantastic. Christopher Lee is like, everyone does this really, it's a well-directed movie, I think, is probably the easiest way to summarize it, because the cast as a whole does really come across as this unified front, against Sergeant Howie. It's just weird. It's just weird and off-putting between the music and the way the kids talk and the way that like they're not, they're always setting up little bits of almost theater for him, to like, they care about, they know they're, from the second he shows up, from the second they send that letter, they know they're going to murder him, right? They're going to burn him alive. But it is also very important for them that he experiences certain things on his way to being burned to death, which is creepy as fuck. I don't think I loved this movie the first time I saw it either. It's been many years, but I think I really started to appreciate this movie over the last maybe 8 or 10 years. I don't think I even watched it for the second time until maybe, again, 8 or 10 years ago. And then I've probably watched it 4 or 5 times since then. And I think I've grown to appreciate it more as I watch it more, because of just like, you notice more about just how sinister their behavior is. And how even like with the kids, like how normal everything is to them, about like, they know they're luring this man here to murder him, and they think it's funny and fun and essential to their culture. The whole thing is just very sinister, which I love. And
again, it's also reflective of today, because we have so many of those evangelical jagoffs who are so polite to your face, and they are obsessed with like civility. That like if you like curse at them or whatever, they start freaking out. So it's very much the same as these pagans, in that like they are outwardly nice, but they are sinister and evil in their goals. And it becomes unassailable because they move in groups. You can't like, you can't break them down, because like they're all in on it together. They all have the same kind of insane wacko behavior, and you look like an asshole if you attack them.
Well, and it's also been because it's been a part of their life for generations. It is so normalized that no matter what, they think you're the crazy one.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because what you're saying and doing is abnormal to the thing that they've been brought up doing, and that their parents and their grandparents and their great grandparents have been brought up doing for generations. So their normal, as abnormal as it is still, like, you still stick out like a sore thumb in that scenario. Yeah. So slow burn, conspiracy ridden mystery. I we talked about how great the ending is. Christopher Lee is at his best when he is a villain, in my opinion. And this is probably his most unique villain role, because of course he's known a lot for, these more gothic horror movies and stuff like that. And I think this is an interesting departure that, he's not in a lot of movies like this.
Yeah, he's not.
We talked about
he's like, not that he's not in it, but like you don't really interact with him until like 40 minutes into the film. But when he really shows up, like he shows up to this film, because like he is so full of personality and just has that cunning about him. And then by the end of it, he's turned so sinister and like kind of crazy, because like even his hair is, like his hair is like mad
blowing in the wind.
It's like mad scientist hair. And like I said, like when he's swinging his arms singing that fuck ass cuckoo song, like he looks insane, because he is, he is insane. Yeah. He's an insane person, but
well, and also you never, even when he's not on screen, you feel his influence, because you understand that he is the ringleader, right? Like, especially again upon the second watch, third watch, like he is the ringleader. He is the man, pulling the strings, quite literally, right? I'll mention one other thing. This kind of big reveal, gradual but big reveal, and then the whole slam bang finish here. I would say, I don't think it's an overstatement to say it has influenced like almost every modern folk horror film after it. From pacing to that, like the way it's revealed as like gradual, but like coming to that horrific realization, I think has been a huge influence on, well, a lot of genres, but especially folk horror. And, yeah, I don't know. You learn that, you should always resist weird evangelical invaders. I think is the moral of the story.
Resist it all is the moral of the story.
Yeah. Sure. I know I'm being a little crass, but you get what I mean.
Unless you're 23 and Britt Eklund's knocking on your door, then, hey man, test your luck, but don't be a weird sweaty virgin in another room.
Lord Summerisle and his crew ain't going anywhere else trying to push their beliefs. They like what's happening. They want to stay right insular and all that stuff, so there's not going to be a scenario where all of a sudden Lord Summerisle and his crew come banging on your door trying to get you to believe what they believe. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're not trying to proselytize, but that's also because I think they are just aware of how small their numbers are. I think they're on the same level as like the Amish and the Quakers and the Mennonites. Like they know they're not popular, but if you can just let bygones be bygones, then things are fine. That's the thing about the Mormons. Got too many of them.
Well, and they're very focused on centralizing wealth.
Yeah.
Whereas like, that's when you got to start working. When people start hoarding hundreds of billions of dollars, then they're preparing for something sinister.
Yeah. And that's like, I think I almost called them the Moonanites, but like the Moonies.
The Moonanites. Jump while you are doing so.
Yeah, but
no, smoke. Sorry, I got two quotes. Smoke while you are doing so. Jumping is useless.
But no, we had there's that Mooney's cult, which like split off into another more insane cult.
Like the ones who worship
guns,
like automatic rifles. Yeah,
I think they're called the Church of the Iron Rod, which they have some fucking swag about them. Like, look them up. They look insane, but they also look like awesome. I don't know, enemies in a like it's some sort of video game. Like, they look like video game enemies
in an anime. Yeah, they all like carry like ARs to church.
Yeah, they are crazy. But yeah, that's how you know, like, when they start gathering money and they start preparing, because originally the Mormons were chased out of New York. Mm-hmm. They were chased across the country, and then they got an entire state to themselves, and then they started building up ranks, and then they start doing missionary work. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. The Summerisle, they aren't doing missionary work, but if they started doing missionary work, they're causing trouble.
Yeah, that's when you got to start watching out. But all right. Anyway, that was The Wicker Man from 1973. That'll wrap up our discussion for this week. But join us next week as we progress through our Christopher Lee showdown for this here month of August. Don't forget, if you've got suggestions for us for showdown topics you want us to add to the wheel, if you're looking ahead like your boy and you've got suggestions that you want us to add to the Wheel-O-Ween, which we will be spinning next month in September, send them our way. Slide into the old DMs at Halloween is Forever on all the various social medias, or you can send us one of them old-fashioned emails at HalloweenIsForeverPod@gmail.com. We'll check that as well. All right. Before we wrap this up, anything else, Stephen, before we move on to next week?
No.
All right. Well, listen, it's been British. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.